Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, the one and only AJ Shambly, and today I'll be reviewing Spyro You're the Dragon for the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 4. Spyro You're the Dragon was released in the year 2000 for the Sony PlayStation. It is the third Spyro game in the Spyro trilogy, and is Insomniac's final Spyro game before they would go on to work on the Ratchet & Clank series. The game received positive reviews from both fans and critics and has sold over 3 million copies worldwide. Many say that this game is the best in the series. I disagree with that, and you'll find out why. The story to this game is probably the best out of the three games. It begins in the dragon world, where all the dragons, including Spyro, are sleeping and are surrounded by a bunch of dragon eggs. Then, a mysterious hole appears, and out comes a rabbit named Bianca and a bunch of creatures called Rhinox. They steal all the dragon eggs, and in the process, Bianca accidentally wakes up Hunter, who's there for some reason. Anyways, the thieves all escape back through the hole, and Spyro and Hunter follow them. Now they must search the Forgotten World for all 150 dragon eggs. The plot gets a little more interesting as the game goes on, so no complaints here. We have both new and returning characters to talk about here. For starters, we have Spyro, who hasn't changed one bit. Hunter, however, seems to have gained a bit more courage this time around, and he still gives you special tasks throughout the game, and you can actually play as him this time too. Moneybags is still a douchebag that charges you for everything. Zoe still saves your game, but this time, however, she gives Sparks, yes Sparks, special shooting missions that I will talk about later. And Sparks actually has dialogue this time around. As for the new characters, we have Bianca, who actually has some interesting character development throughout the game, and the Sorceress, who's behind the entire dragon heist. She's probably the best villain in the series. She's just pure evil. Now for the gameplay. It plays exactly like Spyro 2 for the most part, except dragon eggs replace talisman and orbs this time around, and some of the dragon eggs are actually hidden in the levels. The game also does something that no other Spyro game has done at the time. You can now play as different characters. Sheila, Bentley, Sergeant Bird, and Agent 9 are brand new characters. And with the inclusion of Spyro, Sparks, and Hunter, that means you play as 7 characters total. Spyro's gameplay hasn't changed at all. You still spitfire, charge, glide, and fly your way through victory. You still kill fodder to regain Sparks' health, and all the power-ups from Spyro 2 make a return. This time though, you don't have to kill any enemies to activate the power-up gates. He keeps all the moves he learned from Spyro 2, and he can control multiple vehicles as well, including a skateboard. Most of the vehicles control pretty well, except for the flying saucer and the hovercraft. Their controls seem pretty stiff in my opinion. As for the new playable characters, they're a hit or miss. Sheila is a kangaroo and her gameplay involves jumping, kicking, and ground stomping. Her levels are pretty dull though, nothing really special. Bentley is a Yeti that uses his club to knock enemies into next week. He can also break treasure chests with it, which is pretty cool. His gameplay overall is pretty fun, but the boxing minigame isn't very good. The enemy AI can be pretty difficult and it can get really annoying. Sergeant Bird is another fun character. He can fly and shoot rockets at enemies, and the shooting is pretty good. I have little to no issue with his stages. Agent 9 on the other hand is by far the worst character of the bunch. He's a monkey and his gameplay also involves shooting. However, his controls are terrible. Trying to shoot enemies is super annoying with Agent 9. You almost have to resort to sniper mode, and even that's not much of an improvement. He also has first-person shooting segments that aren't very much fun either. It comes down to the controls that just don't work well with his gameplay. As for Sparks, his gameplay resembles a shoot 'em up. You go around and shoot projectiles at enemies. You can strafe and charge as well. Once you get used to the controls, his gameplay is okay. And Sparks earns new abilities when he finishes his levels. He's able to let you fast travel, he can take an extra hit for you, and point out treasure for you, something he can already do in Spyro 2. Oh well. And finally you have Hunter. His gameplay is in the speedways and they're okay at best. They involve shooting, evading a spaceship, and chasing a spaceship. All except one of the shooting stages and chasing the spaceship gave me little to no trouble at all. The level design is okay for the most part, but some of the later levels are very cheap and annoying. Dino Mines in particular. The enemies are super cheap, and it's by far the worst level in the game. Seriously, how are you supposed to dodge these freaking dinosaurs shooting at you? The overworlds are much better this time around. They're not too big, but but not too small either. They are exactly what they should be and don't overstay their welcome like in Spyro 2. The minigames and side quests are a hit or miss, and it comes down to how they control and how the camera angle is. Some control nice and have a great camera angle to go with it, and some have awful controls and a terrible camera angle. So it all depends at the end of the day. And finally, the boss fights. They're fine actually, they're not too hard, and some can be pretty easy if you know what to do. The music is great as usual. I think it's almost up there with the first game in terms of enjoyment. Crystal Islands and Fireworks Factory are my personal favorite. The sound quality isn't too bad either, and the voice acting is good too, but I noticed that some of the voices do get cut off sometimes, but that could very well be because of my game disc. Graphically, the game looks similar to Spyro 2, the animations are great, and the levels look great as well. No complaints here. Overall, I think this game's a step down from the last game. I mainly blame that on the controls. Some of the vehicle controls aren't very good, and Agent 9's stages are plain awful. Sheila's may be boring, but at least she controls well. But everything else is top notch as always, so with that being said, I'm going to give this game a B+. The music and graphics are great, and some of the gameplay is fun too, but some of the mini games and controls can be a major pain. And now, let's talk about the reignited version. Of course, graphically, the game looks superb, and the character designs look great as well, but I noticed a lot of glitches. You can tell that they rushed this game, and I can't let that go. The remix music is really good, probably the highlight of this version of the game. I highly recommend giving the soundtrack a chance. It sounds almost as good as the original. The voice acting is much better as well. Not that the originals was bad, but I noticed that this version has a little bit better voice acting. But I want to talk about the controls. They are once again a hit or miss. Spyro in general controls fine, as well as the other playable characters. They made a major improvement on Ancient 9's gameplay. His gameplay is so much better now, and I actually have fun playing as him for once. Sheila, on the other hand, is still boring. But back to the controls. They're either good or terrible depending on the type of gameplay. Like I said earlier, they made Agent 9 playable, but certain vehicles and minigames are awful because of the controls, especially compared to the original. The same can be said for the camera. The Whack-A-Mole game for instance comes to mind. In the original, they gave you a perfect camera for this type of minigame. However, in the reignited trilogy, they let you control the camera, but it doesn't do you any good because Billy obstructs your view. This minigame made me rage big time. Bottom line, some things are easier or harder depending on the controls and camera. This version of the game gets a B-. The graphics overall and music are wonderful, and some aspects of the game are much improved. But some of the controls and camera angles are worse than the original, and the glitches may not be game breaking, but they are an eyesore. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this game. Do you love it? Do you hate it? I want to know. With that being said, thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, be sure to smash that like button, give that subscribe button a good KO punch, and I will see you next time. Thank you all once again. You all have a nice day. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. And remember, geek, gaming, and nerd culture is for everyone, and let's keep things fun.